So in today's video, we're going to be talking about Plasti. More specifically, we're going to be talking about this glossifier. My question was basically, can you make a clear bra out of this? Now, right off the bat, I know what everybody's thinking. Well, it looks really murky and it looks kind of bad. But if you compare it to some of the options, you got those black bras that go on the cars, which I think look really bad. And then when you take them off, the paint doesn't match because this was fading and this wasn't sitting underneath that. And then the only other option I could really think of is when you actually use the clear vinyl wrap that goes over it, which is kind of more of a professional job, but that can cost quite a bit of money. This took us about 30 minutes to do and cost about $15. So besides it looking a little bit murky, which is probably the only downside to this, I want to see if it actually worked. We've got some rock chips here. The main reason I'm going to be redoing this is because it's got some scuffs on it. I think that came from drying the vehicle off. Somebody got a little bit too excited with one of the garage towels. And so we're going to be pulling this off and seeing exactly what happened. Now, the reason this hood got plasti dipped like this in the first place is because the car went to go get detailed at one point and somebody hit it just right with a pressure washer and blew some paint off the hood. Now, the paint on this vehicle for some reason is really thick, and so when it got hit by that pressure washer, it blew a bunch of the clear coat off in the paint, and so the hood actually had to get repainted. So root cause of that problem was a rock chip. So if we could make a clear bra that would make it so we didn't get any more rock chips, maybe we could avoid this problem in the future. So there are some rock chips in this clear bra. We're gonna be pulling this off to see if this actually helped keep those rock chips from damaging the paint underneath the plasti dip. So without further ado, let's get this one peeled off. We will verify to make sure that the rock chips actually didn't hit the paint, and if that's the case, I will be redoing another bra out of Plasti Dip. So one more thing before I pull this off, I retaped it to make sure I get the exact same line if I decide to Plasti Dip this again. So I'm going to stop and talk about how this stuff is coming off. It isn't difficult to get off, but it's definitely not like normal Plasti Dip. And this has like 6 or 7 layers on it, so it's plenty thick enough, but it's not coming off the same way as like normal Plasti Dip does. I think this is a little bit different compound. It almost reminds me of what happens after a sunburn. All right, everybody, so fast forward about an hour, I did get everything cleaned off. As you can see, the painter's tape is off. I did decide not to re-plasti dip the car, even though it did work. We had a pretty aggressive rock chip that was here, and I think we had a couple smaller ones here, and there were quite a few scratches on the Plasti Dip itself, but nothing is actually on the hood of the car. Everything came off. It was a pain to get off. I don't understand that necessarily because, like I said, it had probably 6 or 7 coats on it. So I'm not saying don't do this. If you want to do this, definitely make sure that you add more than like 6 or 7 coats. The only downside of that is the more that you put on there, the murkier it's going to get. But it did work. Now, when it comes to the Fade Buster feature that Plasti Dip advertises here on their can, that didn't work on my paint. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't work with the Plasti Dip because I'm sure this Fade Buster is designed for when you Plasti Dip your car to then put this on it and it keeps your colors from fading. But on the paint, it didn't do that, which is good. Like I said, you don't want the back to fade and the front not to, because then you would have this definite line. Now, this stuff was on here for probably probably about a year or so, and you can see the front of the car looks absolutely fantastic, and there are rock chips down here. Now, I know that the hood was repainted and the bumper wasn't, but you can see the hood is essentially what it looked like after it had gotten repainted. So it was a success. Would I recommend it? Yes, just be super careful about how you apply it, because if you don't put it on quite right, you're just going to spend a lot of time getting it off. It took me about an hour to get off and an extra set of hands with some Gooby Gone to get it cleaned off the rest of the way. And again, I don't want anybody thinking I'm complaining. It did work. Plasti dip is not normally like this. If you do Plasti dip with as many coats as you're supposed to do, it comes right off in these big sheets, almost like vinyl. I've done multiple cars with Plasti dip and never had a single issue. You just have to put enough layers. This glossifier is not designed really to go on by itself. And that's probably the only reason why I was fighting it. So if you decide to do this, just do a bunch of extra layers. Don't worry too much about it. If you don't mind your car looking a little goofy, then whatever, you know. But your only other option to have a clear is to have one of those really expensive, essentially a vinyl wrap done to the front of your car, which we might be doing on this vehicle. I know that we want to keep the front end looking nice here, so we might actually go and then make another video of us putting on our own vinyl kit and see exactly how difficult that is to do by yourself without taking it into a shop and spending, you know, upwards of $600 or $700 to wrap the front of your car. I appreciate everybody for watching. If you enjoyed this video and other content from our channel, please subscribe and consider joining our Patreon, which we just started. Link will be in the description below, and we'll see you guys in the next video.